It's the Richard Schwartz Power Hour. And right now, Brent Hazzard. I'm Brent Hazzard, filling in for Patrick Wooten. And I'm joined by Stephen Nixon. Mr. Nixon, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Brent. How are you? How was your weekend?
Oh, hang on. And our third partner in crime, as usual, Richie.
Hey, we're here. I'm here.
Yay!
Yay! Woo!
And I've already asked Brent about his weekend. Whether he answers or not, we may not care about. But I asked.
First of all, I don't know who made God mad with 36-degree weather, but please stop your heathen ways, because it is freezing here. My weekend was good, doing a little work, trying to catch up. Work till Friday till 10.
Yeah.
And then,
I talked to you Friday evening when I was on the way home from work, and you were going in.
Well, you know how it is, and Richie and I were emailing Saturday, so he was working some Saturday. You get in a rhythm or something comes up, and, you got some deadlines and stuff. But, Richie, how was your weekend? I saw you working Saturday.
I was. Somebody had to do it. I'm glad you were there.
But anyway, I'm glad. Yeah.
What's up with people going home on Saturday?
How dare they? How dare they? But no, I have a couple of deadlines I have to meet, so I was working this weekend trying to watch. I hate to say it now that I'm out of my fantasy football league. You know, it's so hard to watch a fantasy NFL game.
Well, some games like normally I would never care about the Browns versus the Steelers or something like that.
Hang on, you got a Steelers
cares?
Fan. You got a Steelers fan.
If you're a Steelers fan, that's your problem. But when you're doing fantasy football, you care. Now, I cared about the Saints, and I was watching that Rams game too. Freaking Rams! When we need them to win, they don't.
Well, it's amazing how I swear I could run the Bears or I could coach the Chargers. I just want to get that out there. If anybody wants to pay me to screw something up, I'm here. I can go to the NFL and draft the wrong people. I can destroy.
Call the wrong plays.
I can hire Urban Meyer. I can do that for millions of dollars. But anyway, and if anybody has any legal questions for us, please always give us a call at 888-808-8637. That's 888-808-8637. Or you can text us at the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. That's 601-879-4395. Richie, you watch any of the games yesterday?
I watched a little bit of the 49ers-Rams game, and I'm shocked that 49ers came back like that. That was amazing.
Yeah.
That was an amazing game.
So...
Well, we got the big game tomorrow.
No, tonight.
Tonight.
Georgia, Alabama.
Let's make our predictions on the last segment of that game, and or get some calls. Let's talk about it because it's a big game. I mean, two SEC rivals now.
Yep. And
they used to be, but they're now major rivals.
Yeah, that's right.
Georgia is actually favored by 2.5 points.
If I was Georgia, I would have sued Vegas the moment they made me favorites.
Yeah.
Because Nick Saban's been screaming at people all week.
Yeah. Now I'm going to be pulling for Alabama to win it, but I think Georgia's going to win it.
I'm never betting against Nick Saban.
Especially when they're the underdog. Like, the last thing you want to do
is be the underdog.
Is give Nick Saban and the kids, as good as they are on that team, extra motivation to play really hard. Yes. Forget about it. I mean, I wish they would lose. I'm tired of Alabama winning all the daggum time. But, they made him an underdog. That was a mistake.
Well, not only
the real question is who's going to opt out. I haven't heard any names opting out.
I don't think anybody's opting out.
Not for the national. You would hope.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of first-round draft choice.
Well, yeah, but they didn't opt out in the playoffs. So, no, I don't think anybody's opting out the national championship game, Richie.
That would be cute. That'd be an interesting move if somebody did that. Like, whoa, he opted out of the national championship.
Well, no, I think the you get into is, I know the Pittsburgh quarterback, he was a first-round draft pick, and he opted out, and then the backup got injured on the first drive. They had a freshman.
Well, look what happened to poor Matt Corral. I mean, God bless the guy. I respect him playing, but he got hurt. Exactly what guys trying to prevent happened to him.
But, I mean, an ankle sprain. I think
he should be okay, but still, that would just when that happened, you're like, of course. I mean, he does the right thing,
Yeah.
He makes the call that we would want him to make to play for his team and for his school, and then he gets hurt.
Well, no, I mean, it's
the guys who opted out.
Transitioning to our profession, we tell people all the time, and I had one case. And we were up. I was not working with Richie. I begged the woman. It was $900,000. Begged her. begged her.
Take it.
Yep. Take it, $900,000. She wanted $1 million. And I mean, there was something about it that told me, ma'am, we got issues if I put you on the stand. And we won $150,000 because I can tell you right now they did not like that woman. And
so she turned the 900 down and tried it. In the jury.
And I mean, we won. And it was about, it always comes down to pain and suffering.
Right.
And I was like, ma'am, there was some videotape and there was, she was doing some activities and, maybe. And, I was like, please take it. But there's a risk in everything involved now. Why I enjoy trying cases. I was like, ma'am, I will even put the amount you would make on $1 million in your pocket. So it'd be no difference.
I'll give you that out of my fee if you would just take this.
Because there's a risk involved.
Yeah.
And people
she still wouldn't?
Oh, no. She wanted a check with $1 million. I know what she's going to do. She was going to ask for the same discount after we get, she was just one of those people. And I was like, ma'am, you're not coming off well. I was trying to politely tell her, you're just not likable. Okay? And they're going to get up there and admit fault. And they're going to say, this is our fault. And, we hurt this woman and we won't pay for it. And they said, we'll pay her $200,000.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was just like, God, there goes having to work that weekend after that case.
Mm-hmm.
One of those deals. But
so you never know.
I have similar. I remember one particular where I think there was like $190,000 on the table, and we had an expert, a doctor expert, who completely changed his testimony against her because of videotape that showed that everything she said was not true.
Hmm.
And so we had no expert, and the $190,000 was still on the table. And I begged her. I said, "You are going to lose everything.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to lose it all." Oh no, I'm going to win because I've been told I'm going to win. And unfortunately, we tried the case and we lost it, and simply because there's no way to win that case. There's no way to win that case. Yeah. There's no expert. And her own expert backed out and changed the testimony. There's no way to win that case. And so it was an interesting experience. And sometimes you just have people who want to take their shot no matter what.
Oh, no.
It's like rolling the dice.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
it totally is.
I mean, because there's so many variables that you can't predict, on TV or sometimes the way lawyers market themselves, it's like, the good lawyers win. No, they don't.
Well, no, a federal judge.
A lot of times the best lawyer loses. Yeah. A lot of times.
Jerry Davis, federal magistrate, he's now retired, but he's still kicking. He's around. I hope he's listening. He looked at me and said, Brent, you're not a lawyer, so you win a case you shouldn't have won.
Right.
And lost the case you should have won.
Oh, look, I'm nervous. If I walk into court thinking, I got this one. This one's good.
Yeah,
I'm like, I have learned now to be nervous when you have that feeling because something's going to come.
The only time I'm ever nervous is when I was a city prosecutor and I did appeals court cases, and the only thing the other person brought on the other side was a code book. I'm going, uh-oh.
Because they could read and you couldn't.
They're going to hit us with some law.
Hey, whatever the charges are, I have to prosecute them.
No, that's another thing. As you were talking about, when I was prosecuting, people don't understand. They're like, I used to tell people, you don't dismiss cases as a prosecutor, give everybody the day in court. But, the common example on that is assault. In Mississippi, a groping is not illegal. I can walk up to someone. You have to have injury.
There has to be an injury.
There has to be injury. So every now and then we'd get that case where someone would come up behind a lady and, grab a part of her anatomy, and she'd press charges. And I would say, ma'am, I'm not saying it wasn't embarrassment.
You just told every dirty old man to go grope a woman.
No.
You
it could be
what you just did.
What I was telling people.
It could be civil, right? It's just not a criminal.
No,
civil assault is any unwanted touching.
Unwanted touching?
Yeah, civil. You can sue them.
Okay, you have to have injury. And I would before trial, I would say, did it cause you emotional distress or psychological issues? No. Was there any bruising?
Even that, you still have to prove that through a therapist.
Well, and I go, is there any bruising? Was there any, break? I would try everything I could. No. I just want to make a point, and I knew what was coming. Motion for directed verdict, and it was over.
Now you could still create a scandal. You can still be fired by your employer.
Yes, all that's true, but it's not assault.
But it may not be criminal assault.
It's not assault.
Right.
So I mean, I was sitting there just, and I mean, one time there was a case about a poking, and you're just like, are we really trying? But I gave them that day in court because it was not my job. But anyway, we'll be right back after this break.
I'm LeGrand Elliott.
I'm Cindy Ayers Elliott.
And we have a brand new show called Ag and Culture. We'll be discussing all things agriculture.
But more specifically, how it affects farmers and ranchers of color with national and local guests.
And of course, we're talking culture, food, wine, health, politics, education, and so much more.
Join us for informative and fun conversation with guests from all over the country.
It's a fresh new show, Ag and Culture, every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. on the East, and 7 a.m. on the West.
Watch us on our YouTube channel, MS Footprint Farms.
And on WeBelieve.global.
Advertise on WeBelieve.global, a brand new digital media platform. Share your brand with our audience on our many global live stream TV broadcasts and over the radio. For more info, visit WeBelieve.global or call 800-492-5186, option 1.
We are back with the Richard Schwartz Power Hour. Brent Hazzard, Stephen Nixon, and the man himself, Richard Schwartz. If you've been injured, need someone to talk to about workers' comp or Social Security, we have a fantastic Social Security department. Give us a call at 601-988-8888. And Stephen, if people need to get hold of you, sir.
Sure, it's 601-925-4700.
Now, Richie, I got a text message here. My next door neighbor's dog had bit my child. What is our legal remedies?
Well, there's something in Mississippi. It's a lot of different factors. One is that in many cities there's something called a leash law. And that means that if a dog is outside, you have to maintain a leash at all times. If you let a dog out intentionally, and let it roam the streets, and it does it over and over, and it bites someone, then you're in violation. You're negligent per se. That means you are negligent because you allowed that to happen. The other side of the coin is, let's suppose you build a fence, and you secured it, and the dogs never got out before, but it got out. Well, you're not definitely negligent in that regard simply because you've done everything you could to prevent it from getting in the street. The other thing, we have violent before and it bites someone, there's no way that the owner could have had knowledge that he had to take extra precautions and therefore not liable. The major exception to that might be the breed of the dog. For instance, if it's a Doberman.
Pit Bull, Cane Corso.
Yeah, which has a higher propensity to bite, then you may have a heightened duty to do something to protect themselves. So the factors are what is really important in determining whether or not you have a viable case or not.
And those claims,
and homeowners will cover it normally. There are some exceptions. Sometimes homeowners in insurance will make excuses or exclusions for certain breeds of animals, but that's not normally the case.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Does homeowners cover
insurance coverage? Yeah.
Now, see, this is what I was. It always says in the statutes, because I'm handling a couple of cases, dog bite cases now, and it always has, and wolf or wolf, breeds.
Wolf breeds.
And I'm like, who has a wolf breed?
A pet wolf.
Yeah.
Apparently some people do.
Some people have bought wolves, I guess, from Wyoming or something and brought them down
there are
here.
wolfhounds, and I don't know if that covers that or not, but wolfhounds are humongous.
Well, yes, but I mean, have you seen the way I read it is like someone has taken some sort of mixture between a wolf and a dog and tried to raise it. I've just never I've encountered pits. I've encountered, there's certain cities I know of that have a pit bull band, and I've gone into the pound to do something, and they're like, you want to adopt this terrier? And I was like, that's a pit. I've got a ban on it. I've actually had litigation. No. That's a Stratford Terrier. And I was like, bro, you can call it whatever you want. That dog right there is a pit bull. But no, I mean, and they're trying to get away with it, and they're trying to do the right things to the dogs. But I mean, it is interesting how, you start reading these statutes. Dobermans, German, it's always Rottweilers, Dobermans, German Shepherds, and pit bulls.
Yeah.
All the ones that are aggressive breeds.
And then those ones that sort of look like pit bulls, like the Staffordshire Terrier, the American Bully. There's these various different types of breeds that are all essentially pit bulls.
Yeah. Well, and then you run into, I've had this issue. Then you run into our Starkville's favorite mascot, and you start getting those mixes. I've had to get a vet involved.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is this dog?
You have to prove what breed is. Yeah, that came up in Clinton one time. Like, is this a banned breed or not? If it's a mixture. Yeah.
It does get very interesting. But always maintain your dog. Always. I don't know why someone
check your local ordinance.
Check your ordinance, yes. And before doing anything, and look, let me say this, and this came up in one of the board supervisors. Always, ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure.
Right.
One of the issues catching fire, and some of the kids are doing it now, or testing constitutional limits of bringing their cell phones into public buildings and trying to declare what they can videotape or video. There's no more tape. Or, what is their constitutional rights. File that suit beforehand. You do not want to make a constitutional issue with any law enforcement officer on the side of the road.
Right.
It's not going to go well. It's probably going to get you, a night in jail if you're not careful. Reserve the right, make the objection, and then go argue it in court or argue it before court. Whether we're talking about whether people can tailgate at a certain time period, and whether that's or protests on universities is a popular argument. Get that in front of a judge beforehand. Your argument will be better received. And it's one of those situations. But likewise, if someone has a dog in your neighbor or something, you want to document, hey, Stephen, please put your dog on the leash. Right now with email, whether you're a landlord or your neighbor about the tree, document. I get so frustrated with people. It's like, did you take any pictures? No.
Yeah.
You literally have a camera in your pocket, And where we're talking about, if you have some jewelry, some guns. There's a dispute going on that I know about where someone's claiming, some gold bars and some guns got stolen, and the family Picasso was stolen, and there's just no pictures of it. So what you want to make sure make sure right now, take pictures of what's on your insurance policy, upload them to the cloud. So if something happens to something, you have proof of it.
Right.
But
the family Picasso.
Something else about dogs that we need to talk about: apartment complex dogs or rental property on rental property.
Yep.
Let's suppose there's a dog that has been complained about biting and being very aggressive in the past, and they made the complaint to the apartment complex or the owner of the property. If they took no action to protect everyone else, and they could become liable for that dog. Okay,
interesting. But that's so. I hope that helps the texter. But now we have a couple of them. Hey, Brent, glad you're back. Thank you, Brian. He doesn't appreciate you, Stephen.
I know, nobody ever says they're glad I'm back. It's okay though. It's fine. I get it. It's
take the hint.
They don't know who I am.
But best dog ever had was 3/4 Timberwolf from Steve.
Wow.
Steve,
okay.
interesting. Was it the best dog because no one bothered you?
I understand you have to go through a real specific training regimen with those wolf breeds.
Yeah.
So, to show you have to be the alpha dog in the house and prove it to the animal somehow to keep it under control and all this. I don't have time for all that.
Okay, hang on. Here's one. I cannot rip my eyes. We're gonna have to read this one. I'm gonna have to blow it up and read it. But no, one of the issues we get, and I got a text message here, Richie, who gets the dogs in the divorce?
Oh yeah,
that's always that's an issue. Many times they fight over a dog more than they do the children. It's crazy
because the dogs are more loyal. I mean, let's be honest. A dog will worry about your day. The kids always do not. But it's one of those situations where, here's another text message, Richie. My daughter hit a deer. What are my remedies?
And I'm glad he brought that up because I was about to bring that up because it's happening so much right now.
Oh, yeah, they're all over.
A deer is an act of God. That means if you see deer and you hit that deer, you can't sue anybody. Now, you can get your property damage resolved under your comprehensive insurance, and you can get your med pay paid if you're injured, but that's it. Now, the way that's different is that the passengers could have a claim. The passengers could go against the driver's liability coverage if they could prove the driver did something wrong. For instance, was driving too fast for the conditions, or he saw one deer. When you see one deer, there's supposed to be 20 deer. There's usually not just one deer, or he took some evasive action he should not have taken. So those kind of things, or was looking away when the deer jumped out in front. So for a passenger to collect, they can collect under that driver's liability coverage if they can show that the driver did something wrong. But basically, the driver has no rights for injury other than med pay.
Well, I'll say this. I was driving to Tupelo recently on a matter, and it looked like, every 3 feet. I mean, I've been told, and I guess I'm one of the guilty ones, the younger generations are not hunting as much as we did, so the deer population's booming.
Right.
And then, I was in Ridgeland over on in the middle of town at 5:30. Deer runs in front of me at a traffic stop. And, of course, I have to fight those redneck urges to go ahead.
What, get your rifle out?
Hey, sunshine, I used to prosecute. I'm a redneck from Greenville. One's always handy. The 270's always handy. Okay, if we need some meat, I can go get us some. It won't be legal. We'll be right back.
Hey, Phil, the marshmallows still gonna swell up, right?
We still talking about these marshmallows?
We still talking about it.
Come on, man. I'm not trying to hear that no more.
We gonna hear about it.
We not.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, guys. Settle down. Let's save it for the show. It's about to get real.
This is Jay Worth, the Encourager. Never stop believing. I'm telling you, you have to believe it. It's inside of you. It's what you feel. It's what you need. It's what you do. If you can believe it, you can achieve it. Just keep going. Press your way through. Can you believe in what you can't see? There's so much more that's going on inside of you. And the seed that's inside of you, you have to water it. Don't you believe it? If you can press, if you can believe, I assure you, you'll never stop believing.
Do you have something to say? Do you want your voice heard? Join the We Believe Global lineup. Be the star of your own show. For more info, call 800-492-5186, option number 1, or visit online at webelieve.global.
We are back. Brent Hazzard, Stephen Nixon, and the legend Richard Schwartz. Stephen, we've got a text message. Depends on how good the dog is. If it gets in trouble like my old one, the wife got him. But follow-up text on that was, well, if you're talking about paintings, heirlooms, family items, how does the judge decide, or how do you decide who gets the family property?
And it comes back down to those factors that the court has to look at for equitable distribution. It depends on, who paid for it, who's maintained it. The judges, when they're dividing up the assets, and that could include a pet. Now a dog that you paid some sort of pure breed that you paid money for, that could be included in that balance sheet in the equitable distribution, or a dog that earns money if it's a breeder type dog, or if it's a show dog. Now you're just your normal family pet that's not really worth much of anything. The chancellors, let me promise you, they don't want to hear you fighting over a dog that doesn't have some specific monetary value. But yeah, the paintings, the collectibles, the judge just has to decide, and oftentimes it's going to come down to other factors, like if money needs to be moved from one spouse's side to the other to make that equitable distribution balance sheet work out, then the court might just award a valuable painting to the other spouse to balance that out. But there's those factors that the court goes through when they do that equitable distribution analysis.
And please, go ahead, Richie.
Stephen, how often do they order appraisals of the furniture and art, and how often does that happen?
Oh yeah,
in a divorce scenario?
Yes, those are in. It has to be a big ticket item to justify the cost of the appraisal usually, but it's so that really varies. It depends on how much you're talking about, how much the appraisal is going to cost. If the parties can stipulate to an approximate value, that usually helps. But yeah, if one party says it's worth $1 million, one party says it's worth nothing, then oftentimes you'll have to do an appraisal. But that comes down to the overall cost of the litigation and the like. But the court will order something to be appraised if there's a chance for it to be worth a lot and the parties just can't agree about it.
We got a text messenger. Well, let me say this before we get off the air, and I get one of these once a month. Please be an adult when you go into court. You want to be the good guy when you're talking about divorce. I don't care how acrimonious it gets. I don't care if someone got caught doing something they weren't supposed to do. You're going to be one of 1,000 cases on that judge's docket, and that judge does not want to be a babysitter. Do not talk about pressing charge. Now, if someone's a victim of abuse or something like that, yes, do everything you can to protect yourself. But, just because you're not happy with the property settlement, or, the judge told you to get a job, I'm amazed at how many people will go into a courtroom. I represented an individual years ago, and the wife just was like, the company is making more money. And I was like, well, Judge, here's the tax returns. And she's like, well, that's CPA and the tax returns, or he's in on it too. And the judge, he just looks.
Stephen, one of the strategies that a lot of lawyers do, let's suppose someone has an affair, is they threaten a lawsuit against the paramour for damages to affect the outcome of the divorce. Is that something pretty common?
It is, yeah, because a lot of times it's not really blackmail, but we've used that phrase before, that both ways, like you're trying to blackmail us for this divorce. But yeah, a lot of times when you threaten that paramour, that other party.
No, paramour is the mistress or the other guy,
the mistress or the mister. I don't know what you call the male
whose
part.
Spouse might not know.
Correct.
How about a fair partner?
The affair partner. Yeah, and so we've had cases in the past where, we've scheduled a deposition and
wait, for what party?
For the paramour.
Oh, for the spouse of the affair partner.
Yeah, when we send that deposition subpoena to the paramour, all of a sudden we hear back from the other side, and they're ready to settle.
This up. You better get this.
So that's a little bit. I wouldn't call it dirty. That's hardball.
Welcome to big boy litigation.
But yes, that is done if that's available.
I think we're one of the few states in America that actually allows damages, civil damages, if you can prove that.
Yeah, alienation of affection.
I think there's 9 or 11 states left with that. California does not have one. Jeff Bezos, it was just documented that his new girlfriend, their affair started a little bit earlier than her husband knew. So that would have been a nice suit in California. Brian from Louisville texts back, said he missed you too, Stephen.
Thank you, Brian.
We have a text messenger that says there's 7 reasons not to bet against Nick Saban tonight.
Okay.
Those are national championships, folks, if you're keeping score. In a living estate, mom leaves son house. What happened if son dies before mom? In a living estate.
She may think a life estate deed,
maybe.
Or if it's a life estate
what is
deed.
a life estate?
Yeah, and that's one of the downsides to doing a life estate deed. All right, so let's say you know that you want you're aging, and you know that you want your house to go to a child, one of your children or both of your children, and you say, but I don't want them to have to deal with probate and all. I also don't want to pay the costs of setting up a trust, which can be significant. So I just want to make it to where when I die, it goes automatically to them, but I want to retain the right to live in and possess the property while I'm alive. You do a life estate deed. The problem with that is, and I've had this happen here last year, once you create that life estate deed, so you deed it to the child and you say, I deed it to this child and I reserve a life estate. So you have the life estate. You're the life tenant, and the child now has what's called the remainder interest. The remainder interest is a vested property right. So if that child dies before you do, then now that remainder interest goes to the child's estate, and you can't get it back unless this child's spouse and children, if any, if they have them, agree to deed that remainder interest back to you. So that is one of the downsides to the life estate. If that remainderman dies before you do, then the remainder interest passes to that deceased person's estate, and you can't just get it back.
We have Bob on line 1. Bob, you still there?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Doing great.
Hey, I just wanted to see what y'all's pick was on the game tonight. Who do you think will win? And Richie, do you have a prenuptial agreement with your new marriage now?
Wow!
Let me ask you this.
Let me stop you there. As Richie's counsel, I'm going to say to refuse to answer because I love his new wife.
Let me give you some advice. Anytime you get married, you tell them that you buy auto insurance in case you have an accident. You buy life insurance in case you die. You buy home insurance in case it burns down. Why wouldn't you buy marriage insurance?
Wow. What's your prediction, Richie, for tonight's game? I need a score.
I'm pulling for Alabama, but I think Georgia wins by 13.
Okay.
2 scores.
Yeah. Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, I've got Bama in a close one, maybe 1 score. So 3 to 7.
Not the score.
Yeah,
I
don't know what the betting number. Yeah, somewhere between 3 to 7. I think Bama wins.
Bob, what's your prediction?
Hey, I think Alabama will win. I think it'll be a lot closer game than it was the first time, and I think there's a lot of money on the game tonight.
I guarantee it.
Shocking.
Yeah. Millions of dollars.
Yes, but thank you for listening, Bob. Thank you for your call. I'm going to go Alabama 35, Georgia 24. You heard that Delta came out in
35-24. Okay.
I just don't think they have the wide receiver talent. I think Alabama's going to go. I think Alabama learned from Auburn and Ole Miss about tempo.
Yeah.
And I think Georgia has actually got an Alabama team from the 90s.
Yeah, I'm thinking like maybe 24-21.
Wasn't the first game like 40?
27-20, something like that.
I think Alabama's going to have a hard time scoring.
Yeah. I am pulling for Georgia.
So is Georgia, but I think it's going to be like a 21 to, 13 or 12.
Yeah.
They did play this game a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, but it's totally different, just like the last time around.
Mm.
Well, maybe not just like, but I mean, similarly, the last time around.
It was 41-24 the last time.
Yeah.
I mean, the SEC changed. We don't have, it's try to keep people under 30.
No, I mean in the several years back when you had Alabama, Georgia in the SEC championship game.
They brought in Tua,
and then Alabama won the national championship after losing the SEC.
Yeah, this would be the first time an assistant will ever beat.
No. Jimbo Fisher broke that.
No, I was wrong about that. Alabama lost to Auburn that year, and they did not play in the SEC championship game the last time Georgia and Alabama met in the national championship.
No, I thought.
I think Bama lost to Auburn in the Iron Bowl, missed out on the SEC championship game, and then beat Georgia. And made the playoff.
But I just know that, like I said, until Nick Saban's in the ground, I'm not betting against Nick
It's
Saban.
hard to bet against him.
But him and Brady, that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe someone needs to test Brady for something, but I'm not going to make any accusations.
No. As soon as the HGH rumor comes up and they've got somebody willing to talk, he's going to retire, like they all do, and then it's over.
Well, I don't know why that rumor hasn't come up, but we've got to take a break. We'll be right back.
Good evening. I'm Socrates Garrett, and we're broadcasting live from right here in Jackson, Mississippi, the heart of the Deep South, right here in the African-American-owned broadcasting studio. We believe Digital.com, our own platform. And so it's critically important that in the African-American community, we control the narrative. I look forward to receiving opportunities to show and advertise your products for goods and services and to move your brand along in this community. We're broadcasting live on Facebook. When We Believe Digital Podcast, go to Roku and download our app, and We Believe Global, with shows like this to bring articulate, intelligent conversations and dialogue to our platform. So I'm here to continue sounding the alarm. This is how the South is going to rise again.
Advertise on WeBelieve.Global, a brand new digital media platform. Share your brand with our audience on our many global live stream TV broadcasts and over the radio. For more info, visit WeBelieve.Global or call 800-492-5186, option 1.
We are back. Richard Schwartz, Brent Hazzard, Stephen Nixon. We have Josh that's been waiting for us. Josh? You there, Josh?
Hello.
How you doing, sir? How can we help you today?
Yes, I have a question about a divorce. My daughter and her husband, which is now ex, divorced several years ago. They have 2 children. One is 15, one is 21, and he has not properly paid the child support that's agreed to in the divorce settlement. At what age, or is there an age where this mother can go back and sue the father to get back child support, and the children still not have to, they don't want to visit the father? Will they be forced to visit the father if they go back to court and she gets that settlement?
Well, there's not. I'll jump in. There's not an age. The ages that apply are when the child reaches the age of majority, and how long a child may have to sue the non-custodial parent for unpaid child support if the custodial parent doesn't do it. So your daughter could file the suit right now. And the thing about visitation and child support, even though this game gets played, well, you're not paying me child support, then they're not going to come for visitation. You're not supposed to do that. Those are separate. They're independent obligations, and the chancery judges will tell you that every time, that it's not okay to withhold visitation because child support's not being paid.
They're not. It's not causation.
That's right. You people do it all the time, but You're not supposed to. But as far as visitation, the way that works with older children, kids get to a certain age where, just as a practical matter, you can't. How do you make them go? I mean, the judge is not going to order the sheriff to go over and put his hands on a 16-year-old girl, put her in a vehicle, and make her go to dad's if she doesn't want to go. They're not going to do that. At some point, the custodial parent's obligation is to encourage it, to make the child available, but it comes a point where it's between that child and the non-custodial parent. Oh. And because if you just think about, when you're talking about a 7-year-old, you can say, Mom, you put 7-year-old in the car and make him go, and you can do that. But when she's 17, you can't do that anymore. Yeah. I mean, so there's this practical reality that overrides the law. And so what you look at is you're not overrides, but just it impacts what the court can do. The custodial parent's obligation is not to interfere with it. So the custodial parent at some point can say, you're supposed to go to your dad's this weekend, you need to go. And then if she has her own vehicle, if she has a means of getting there. Now, mom may have to drive her there, but she doesn't have to but she can't physically force the kid to get out of the car if the kid just won't get out of the car.
Always be the good person. Always, try 3 times. You want to be the reasonable person because divorce courts or chancery courts are courts of equity, and that's fairness. And you never want to be in that person lecturing to the judge, telling everybody what's going to happen. That judge will punish you. I've seen it 1,000 times. Go ahead.
Hey, Stephen, what is the age that the judge will listen to a child that's determining custody?
Okay, technically the age is 14, I think. Gosh, I'm gonna say it's 14. But that law has changed a little bit now. It used to be when I first started, the election of a child who was 14 or up carried a lot of weight. But now there's been subsequent case law that just says that's really just another factor that you have to include in with all the rest of them. So the child can state that preference, but just because the child states that, you still have to show a material change in other circumstances. The child's election by itself is not going to be sufficient necessarily.
We got one more text message I want to get before we have to go. Can the heirs of an estate sign over to you the property? If they have inherited a property or in this court it's gone through probate, yes, they can. It's their property. If it hasn't gone through probate or the person's still living and it's their future heirs, they can sign over their rights.
They can issue a quitclaim deed, that means whatever interest they do own, you have it, but that doesn't mean they guarantee they have it.
Correct.
If you ever get it in the future, then you have it. But you could buy a quitclaim deed, which guarantees nothing other than if they get it in the future, you'll get it. But I wouldn't pay full value for a quitclaim deed.
Yeah, and the problem with the quitclaim deed is the quitclaim says whatever I own right now is conveyed to you. So if it's a future entry, the doctrine of after acquired title doesn't apply to quitclaim deed. So like Brent said, if it's heir property, the person who originally owned it has to have been deceased. The question before the heirs can deed it, and the deed may be effective if it's a quitclaim, but you do have to have some sort of formal determination of who the heirs actually are before you know whether or not you have good title from those quitclaim deeds or deeds from heirs.
Guys, that means we've done another hour. Richie, take care. Thank you guys for tuning in. Patrick Wooten will be back next week. Y'all have a wonderful week.
Hi, I'm Q Talicia Garrett. I am here to introduce our New South Development and Training Outreach Hour every Tuesday at 2 p.m., giving you information on how to become a part of the programs through USDA and Farm Service Agency. We can be reached at 678-779-9468. We can also be found online at newsouthoutreach.com.
Do you have something to say? Do you want your voice heard? Join the We Believe Global lineup. Be the star of your own show. For more info, call 800-492-5186, option number 1, or visit online at webelieve.global.